So in the last video of this series, I told you that happiness was a skill and that it's something you can work on and be better at and improve, and that if you actively try, there are things you can do to be happier. But I didn't tell you what any of those things are. So I've been doing a lot of reading and learning over the last year or two about happiness, and I do plan on making some more slightly in-depth videos on certain topics, but I wanted to make one where I read to you, essentially, once again, an article from one of my zines. This one is called The Science of Happiness. I don't know why I'm showing this to you when you can't see it. So in my third zine, I wrote an article called The Science of Happiness, which is what the university module that I studied, which is what that extracurricular module that I studied at university was called, where I outlined 8 main ways in which you can be happier. These are the 8 main tips I found to be beneficial to me. I'm sure there are plenty more, but we weren't really encouraged to take notes during that, and I don't always take, when I'm reading, I tend to annotate and underline, but I don't really take notes. So I then sat down and I was like, right, what have I learned? I do need to go back and reread things and find more tips, but when left to just ponder through what I'd thought, these were the 8 things that I came up with that I remembered reading about and learning about, and that I've tried to incorporate into my life, that make me much happier as a person. So I'm going to share those with you. The disclaimer is that I don't do all of these regularly. For example, the first one is exercise. I haven't exercised, like actually done, I've been doing lots of walking and physical stuff where I've been on my feet all day, but I've not done actual exercise in 3 or 4 weeks. So, I'm going to get back on that next week. Editing Louise here to tell you that I went for a run this morning because happiness is important. Sorry for this weird angle. Dell decided to put the webcam at the bottom down here instead of up here. But the disclaimer is, don't think I do all of these all the time because I'm a human and I'm not perfect. But the more we can do these, or for me, let's not even talk about other people, let's talk about me. The more I do these things, the happier I am. That's the point. And I implore you to try these things and see what works for you. They might not all work for you, but again, as I say, the more cynical I become about the world, the more I think that these are universal tips and that everyone can benefit from them. I'm sure you can benefit from most of them, even if you can't quite benefit from every single one. So, as I said, most of these tips I've learnt from either I took a extracurricular course at the University of Bristol called The Science of Happiness, which I really encourage you to do if you're at Bristol, and secondly from the Minimalists, because I've learnt so much from them. I've also read a few other self-help books and books about happiness, but those are the 2 main places where I found most of this information. So number 1, exercise regularly. Obvious, I know, but psychological studies have suggested that regular exercise can be as effective as antidepressants. The main tip here that I would say is to schedule it. I find that I never want to go and do exercise, but once I'm doing it, I really enjoy it, and afterwards I'm really glad I did it. So it's the before that's difficult, so I find the way to combat that is to schedule it and then just do it without overthinking it. I read a great Tumblr post once upon a time where someone was saying, how are you always motivated to exercise? And this woman said, I'm not. I come home and the last thing I want to do after a long day is exercise. And I'm doubting whether I want to go and I'm thinking up excuses. But by the time I've done all of that, I've already pulled on my trainers and I'm locking the door and I'm going out for a run. And that's the way to get around the exercise issue. Number 2, sleep well. Sleep is wonderful. My friends will tell you that I'm a big advocate of sleep. Just get more of it. Get over yourself. Stop staying up till 4 a.m. I go to bed at maybe, I probably go to bed at 10 but sleep at 11, and then I wake up at maybe 7 a.m. I would say is what I've been doing lately. So I get a good 8 hours sleep. And honestly, how people function without that, I don't know. Sleep is really important to me, and it's been proven to be really important. So make sleep a priority. Why would you not? It's a wonderful thing. Sleep, please. Number 3, be more social. As an introvert, this was really difficult for me to get my head around, but being social will make you happier. But the That was what we were taught. But what I found, and the exception I want to make, is with the right people. Um, Being social with people I don't really want to be social with will not make me happier. It will just be a waste of my time and energy, and I'll feel like I've wasted my day. But being social with the right people is one of the best things that you can do in life. We are social creatures, and being social is one of the most important things to human beings. So just do it. Get over yourself and be more social. That's basically the whole message of this video: is get over yourself and do the things that everyone tells you to do, because that's how you're going to be happier. They did this study where they proved that even casual interactions on trains and buses will massively improve your happiness. The idea, if you were told that when you get on the bus you should talk to the person next to you, everyone's like, oh. But if you look back and think about the times where the person next to you has like striked up a conversation with you, normally it actually is quite cheerful and it makes you smile. Um, so maybe try it more often. Maybe not all the time, but maybe occasionally strike up a conversation with someone, especially if you notice that you have something in common somehow. And once again, it's that situation where if I'm invited to a party, I'm like, ugh. And even when I'm getting ready, I'm like, ugh. But once I'm there, I enjoy it so much. And when I come home afterwards, I'm so happy. So go to the party with all your friends, kids. Do it. Number 4, journal. I don't journal regularly, as in I don't do it like every day or every week, and I would like to do that, but I don't. But I have been journaling for the last 18 months or so, and I have found it incredibly beneficial for my mental health. What I find is that if I just think about things in my head, I end up just going through the same thoughts over and over again, and I don't really process anything. I just, keep thinking the same thoughts. But I found journaling helps me to think a lot clearer. And then I was talking about this with a family member the other day, um, and she was like, "Does that make it easier to explain your feelings?" And I was like, "Yes, it also does that." So because I've had the time to like think about my thoughts and really process them and write them down and think through them and think about different suggestions, it makes it much easier to explain how I'm feeling to other people, which is wonderful for your mental health when you can explain how you're feeling, because that's very important to be able to do. I also set myself the rule that no one else is going to read my journal. So I can be unfiltered. I can write things that aren't politically correct, but they're what I'm thinking. Because as humans, quite often we have those thoughts, and they are never things we would say out loud because they're wrong and we know they're wrong, but we can't help thinking them. Um, so sometimes it's worth, I find, noting thoughts down and being like, I know this is wrong, and I need to work out why I'm feeling this way. Um, for example, why I'm really angry at this person when I know I shouldn't be. I will write down things like that in my journal. So I've set myself the precedent that no one will ever read it without my permission. Number 5, gratitude. I think I'm going to make a whole video on gratitude, but gratitude is so important. You have two options. You can either just practice it casually. For example, when you have a spare moment, you can just close your eyes, take a moment to think, I'm so grateful for everything in my life. And maybe list some things you're grateful for. Um, just take some time to really appreciate what's going on. Or secondly, a lot of people gratitude journal. The most common practice is every day to write down 3 things you're grateful for at the end of the day. Um, but being grateful has been proven to be so beneficial to your mental health. It really makes you feel happy because even though there can be things that are going wrong in your life and difficult things, if you're able to appreciate what's going right, that is, the thing that will make you very happy at the end of the day. I live a very privileged life. Um, I have access to education, I have access to food, I have access to a bed without having a job, and I don't have to worry about any of those things at the moment. And at the end of the day, taking the time to be like, look, all these things in my life are going wrong, but how can I be upset when I have all of that is just, it's cheesy, and when you're in a difficult place and you're struggling, it's really annoying when people tell you, oh my gosh, you should be grateful. And I really struggled with that when I was younger, but I found taking control of it myself and just being grateful quietly within myself was very, very empowering. And I would recommend that you find a way to practice gratitude too. It's that actively practicing and actively being grateful. We can all be passively grateful for what we have, but just thinking to yourself, yes, I'm so grateful for all of these things. That is what will make you happier. Number 6, minimalism. Minimalism basically encourages you to assess what you have in your life, to remove the things that don't bring you joy or value, and to focus on the things that do. And of course, that's going to bring you happiness. I personally think everyone can value and gain from minimalism. Um, and it's just up to you how far you take it. But I think everyone should be encouraged to look at what they own and what they spend their time doing and assess whether it brings them happiness and get rid of things that they don't, because those things are ultimately only bringing you stress or distracting you from doing things that you do love. Go be a minimalist. Number 7, be productive. I'm just going to read you what I wrote because it's a bit wordy. In Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, he suggests that instead of happiness and success lying beyond the obstacles, they lie in overcoming the obstacles. Therefore, he suggests that we will feel most fulfilled when we are constantly completing goals, instead of believing that one goal will make us eternally happy. So I really encourage you to read that book. But as I said, he suggests that the way to be happy is to constantly be overcoming struggles and to constantly be succeeding. So by being productive, you can do that. Instead of this idea that we seem to all have that once we get to a certain stage we'll be happy, instead maybe the happiness is the progress. So be productive, make some progress, feel good about yourself, go achieve something. You got this. You got this. Number 8, go outside. This summer I have really learned to enjoy just sunbathing in a park. It's magical. It will change your life. Spend 2 hours just sitting in the sunshine. It's so relaxing. It's so calm, especially if you're with a good friend. Just go outside more. It's been proven to make you happier. The sunshine, as much as you don't want to go outside, spending some time outside will definitely make you happier. And I found that either doing it when I'm exercising, I like to run outside, is a great way to do it, or, as I said, if I'm going to spend time with a friend, if it's a lovely day, instead of sitting inside, I'll be like, let's go sit in the park and eat ice cream. A lot of people are hesitant to go sit outside by themselves, and I can understand why. I personally hate reading or studying outside, so especially during exam season, I'll spend a lot of time inside. But I found that this year during exam season, I spent most of my time inside, but I would then make the effort to go outside for about an hour a day and really enjoy it, whether that was exercise or with a friend or just taking a book and sitting in the park. Because sunshine will make you happy. We are humans and we forget that we are just kind of these biological machines and we have to do what we're meant to do. Those are my suggestions on how to be happier. As I said, I will make some more in-depth videos about some of these in particular. If you have anything that I haven't mentioned, I would love to hear in the comments. I hope this has helped, because I do believe that happiness is a skill and that you can actively do things like I've just said to be happier. You can choose to be happier. It's not down to the circumstances in your life. It is to an extent, but there is so much you can do to make yourself happier that you shouldn't just use whatever's going on in your life as an excuse to be unhappy, because at the end of the day, the only person that loses when you do that is you.